What's up, guys? MarcTheGreatest here, and today's video I'm going to be talking about life is supposed to be difficult. Now, if you're new to my channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, share this video, and let's get right into it. So, today I want to talk about life is supposed to be difficult. And what do I mean by this? Because this is um, it's a very broad topic, and difficult can mean a lot of things. So I really want to say that life is supposed to have challenges and setbacks and moments where it's forced to make you grow as a person. So what do I mean? So for an example, whenever you go to the gym and you work out your muscles, the workout is supposed to be painful. The workout is supposed to get to your body. You're supposed to feel some sort of pain that's inflicted by you doing the workout, because without the pain your muscles aren't going to get stronger. You're not your muscles are not going to grow. So that's what I mean by difficult. Like, sometimes you need that pain and difficulty. You need that infliction in order to get stronger, because comfort is only going to make you soft. Let me say that again. Comfort is going to make you soft. Now, there are moments where you do need to rest, but there's also moments where you need to perform. So if you got a job to do, or you have a big duty to complete, right? I may have some videos that I need to complete, or someone may need to go to work. Someone may need to go to the gym to, get stronger, or to keep their strength and their endurance. You need that in order to grow, right? You need that in order to get stronger. And I can tell you from experience that comfort only makes you weak. And what I mean by weak, and a lot of you guys know what weak means, but when you get weaker, when you don't have as much strength to perform, then your performance takes a toll. And, whenever you need to do something and it's really like necessary, you can't, because you're weak, because you're not strong enough to pull it off. And not only physically, but also mentally. And I think when you work out in the gym, right, it really works on your mentality, and it tests your mind, and you're basically testing your mind on how far it can go in terms of how much pain it can endure. And it really also tests like your spirit. Like, I feel that, going to the gym is not only a physical thing, but it's a spiritual thing, because in order to go through those hard workouts, you need spirit. I'll tell you guys a story. So recently I signed up for Planet Fitness. It's $10 a month. And my very first day, I can tell you, I ran, I jogged for 1 hour. I'm going to repeat that. I jogged for 1 hour. And I'm not saying this to brag or any of that. But what I'm telling y'all is, in order to jog that hour, I had to have spirit. There are times where I wanted to give up. There are times where I was feeling the pain being inflicted in my calves, in my feet, but I kept pushing. And from the time I got started in the gym, or from the time I entered in the gym, I promised myself that I was going to jog 1 hour. This is what I promised myself. I said, okay, Mark, you're going to go into that gym and you're going to jog for 1 hour. And that's exactly what I did. And I'm so happy that I did it. And it showed me how strong of a person I was to stick to my own word. A lot of people would have said that and they would have gave up 20, 30 minutes in. But me, I kept going till the wheels fall off. Now, there was one time where I needed to tie my shoes, but that was my only break. I only needed to tie my shoes and put my keys and wallet in the cup holder or whatever. That was my only two breaks. But overall, I ran an hour, like I promised. And I was so happy when I did that. And those breaks only took 1 minute. So I only had 1 minute breaks in between. Like it wasn't like I had to rest 5, 10 minutes. No, I was resting like few seconds, 1 minute. It didn't even take 1 minute. It took like few seconds, and I was back at it, boy. And I'm just here to tell you guys that if you want to achieve something great like that, like you want to jog an hour, you want to run a marathon and run 3 miles, you want to run 6 miles, it takes spirit, it takes heart, you know. And when I was running, guys, I can tell you, I was testing my spirit. My spirit was tested. My inner resolve, that inner fire in me was being tested. It was me against me. It was a one-on-one battle. It was me against me. And it was a hard battle, but I prevailed. I won against myself. I won against that voice that said, "Mark, you're tired. Give up." And I'm not telling y'all to overdo it, but what I'm telling y'all is sometimes you need to push yourself to your fullest, man. Sometimes, like, that's really how you get strong, is pushing when you feel like you can't. Pushing when, that's how you get a good workout in. And I can tell y'all that after I was done, I had all this sweat on my face, and I sweated my whole shirt off. Like, literally, I drank a whole lot of water before I did this. But I sweated my whole shirt out. And like the top of my head, my forehead was sweaty, my back was sweaty, and it was one heck of a workout. And it was, it was crazy, but I really did it. I really pushed myself, and that's how you push yourself. By doing and sticking to things you say that are gonna do and that are challenging. I think in order to get to great lengths in life, in order to be one of the greats in life, you gotta push yourself to the limit. You gotta push yourself even past your limits. And I think I felt as I was doing this, I was really pushing past my limit, and I haven't even jogged in a long time, but my first day I was like, I'm gonna pull this off no matter what. I don't care what anyone else thinks or says or how they look at me in the gym. I'm going to pull this off, and that's how you gotta be with, achieving like a goal, or like if you wanna like really learn something, then that's how you have to be. And you also have to have the desire to do it. And I did, because I wanted to be stronger on my legs. And I really, really wanted to do it and test myself. And it was a very good way to test myself. And it's really hard to do that and to go through with something if you really don't want to do it. And I think you should do it even when you don't want to do it, but I think it's the desire that's going to really push you. Like, if you really want to make money, you'll make money. Like, if you really want it, when your back is against the wall and you have no other options, you just got to go with what you have, then you're going to do whatever it takes to get what you want out of your life. You got to be resilient. And I think a lot of people nowadays lack resilience. They lack the fortitude to get back up when life knocks them down. When they lose a certain number of friends, when they lose money, when no one respects them, when they lose everything and they're at rock bottom, people get discouraged. And one thing I heard Brute D Force say is, one influencer that I listen to, his name is Brute D Force, and he's a professional gambler. He used to be a gambler, but now he's like retired. But he said that when you're at the bottom of the bottom, that's when you go extra hard. Like, in terms of like your workouts, in terms of making money, in terms of networking, talking to people, that's when you go hard. When you're at your lowest, you don't scale back when your back is against the wall. You gotta unleash the beast when you're up against the wall. Like when life puts you into a corner, you gotta unleash the beast. My dad would always tell me, Mark, you gotta release tiger mode. He would always tell me this. He would say, Mark, like whenever I felt scared to do something, or I felt intimidated, he would always say, like, I would tell him I would feel scared sometimes, and he said, Mark, remember tiger mode, just do it. Like it's really not that hard. I mean, it's hard, but the concept of it is not that hard. Like when you feel afraid to do something, but it's the right thing to do, you do it. You suck it up. You do what you do. You man up, woman up, put your heels on, put your shoes on, and get to it. And conquer life. And that's how it's supposed to be. You got to release the tiger mode. You got to release the inner beast. That's what I like to call it. I like tiger mode too, but I like to call it the inner beast, because I feel that I think everyone, whenever people are pushed against the wall, I feel like that is the perfect term. You got to become a behemoth or Leviathan when when your back is against the wall. When people want to bully you and you got nowhere to go, you just got to become a Leviathan. And whether you win or lose, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go out swinging, whatever. Now, in terms of like street fights, if you can run, run. But if you can't run, the Leviathan needs to come out. That inner beast that says, "Don't mess with me, sucker. I'm gonna beat you down." Like that beast needs to come out when your back is against the wall and you don't have any other choice. You know? And I've had to do that a couple times in my life, you know? And I've had to do it when people try to speak for me. I remember one teacher had kind of asked somebody else what I did for the project, and I felt that was very rude because she had asked that question in front of me. And usually it is rude when you ask what someone did, but that person is standing right in front of you, which means that you can directly ask them what they did instead of ask somebody else what I did, you know. But in that moment, I said, you know what, you know what, Miss So and So or Mr. So and So, this is what I did, and the Leviathan came out, you know, the beast came out, you know, and sometimes you need that beast to come out. There's no, oh, I want to be a Mr. Nice Guy. No, you gotta let the beast come out sometimes. The beast gotta come out, man. And I mean, you don't want people walking all over you. And that's the thing. That's the thing a lot of people have like trouble with. Like they let people walk all over them. And sometimes you can't always be nice. Sometimes you gotta let the Leviathan, you gotta let the beast come out. You gotta let the inner beast come out. That's the term of the day, y'all. The inner beast has gotta come out no matter what. If you're stuck in a rut or in a corner and you can't get out any other way, the beast has to come out. That is your only way out. Like when you're up against the wall, the only way out is fighting. There's no flight. There's no, oh, I'm going to call so and so. So and so may not be there all the time. Maybe it's just you and the enemy. And that is when the Leviathan or the beast got to come out, man. The inner beast got to come out of you. And I know a lot of you have the inner beast. I know I do. And I think the inner beast drives me to succeed every day. Like I think about my goals and dreams and, taking endeavors, learning the Forex. I'm like, man, I'm a beast. I'm going to learn this stuff. Like, or some of you might be going to school. Some of you might be training for playing professional sports or becoming a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant. And whenever those moments come up, whenever you got to really study really hard, the Leviathan's got to come out and say, hey, man, I'm going to kick butt on this thing. I'm going to really pull this off no matter what. I'm going to study the hardest that I can. I'm going to study the best way that I can. I'm going to do whatever it takes to succeed. That's the attitude you need to have. And honestly, you can't get soft, man. Like, especially if it's like a big goal that you really want to do or something that you really need to do, the Leviathan has to come out. That beast, the inner beast. It really does. And, life can get really hard at times, and it's going to push you up against the wall and tell you can't do it. It's going to beat you to your knees, but it's up to you to decide, am I going to give up or not? Am I going to let this thing called life beat me down, or am I going to get back up and tear it to shreds and show the world what I can do and release the Leviathan so that people respect me, so that people will say, hey, man, that man is a G. That man can do some things. This man is going places. This man can really speak. This man is really strong. That's how you get the people to respect you, by pulling things off that are nearly impossible. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying everyone is going to do this or everyone's going to have that one hit, where they pull something really big off. Some people won't ever do it in their lives, and that's completely okay. But you can release that Leviathan in other areas of your life. It may not be a big financial move, or you may not create a big company. You may not generate a lot of wealth. Like, everyone is not going to be wealthy. That's the reality of the world. Like, everyone is not going to be like Michael Jordan or Novak Djokovic or Nadal on tennis. Like, a lot of these guys are extraordinary, and I'm not saying to worship these guys, but use somewhere inside of you. I know there is a beast, and you got to use that beast to succeed in life. You got to use that beast to survive. And I think it's not only to succeed at certain endeavors in life, but I think it's also survival. I think when you get to a point of survival, you just got to release the beast in your own way, whether it's telling somebody no, whether it's, oh, I'm going to protect myself no matter what. Oh, I'm not going to let this guy bully me. I'm not going to let this guy talk over me. I'm not going to let this guy treat me any kind of way, or this girl or person treat me any kind of way. You know, there are certain moments in your life where you got to let that beast out, especially survival. And the crazy thing about survival is, when you're in survival mode, that's going to teach you like hidden strengths that you never knew you had. Let me say that again. Survival is going to teach you hidden strengths you never knew you had. So sometimes that's what it takes to release your fullest potential, is a person being in survival mode. I remember one day, and speaking of survival mode, I remember one day I was staying over my dad's apartment. Right, we were just moving into his new apartment. I was staying with him at the time because I had a summer job and I was working with him. So, and I was getting ready to go back to school. So this is around like August, September, a few years ago. And I was staying with him, over his apartment. And he said, Mark, you're going to cook your own meals. Now, he was going to buy the food, because I was a student at school. And I still could have worked, but it would have probably been hard for me. So, I was in school and he was basically helping me, feed me and all that. He's bringing the food home. But what he did say to me, he said, Mark, you're on your own for making your own food. I'm not going to cook for you. I'm not going to do anything for you. You are on your own. And let me tell you, it was one of the most liberating things he said to me. Now, it was still his choice. I mean, we both had a choice in food, but when I tell you, when it was most scary, but it was also very liberating, I mean, it was so great because I can cook how I wanted to. I can make the food that I wanted. And, I was eating like how I regularly eat. I was cooking chicken patties. I was cooking pancakes. I was cooking fried shrimp, broccoli, hash browns, like diced potatoes. Like, I was just cooking, man, every day. Like, every day of the week I would cook. And it would be so crazy because, man, before I went to dad's house, you know, staying with my mom, I never barely ever cooked because it would be my mom cooking. But when I came over to my dad's house, he said, Mark, you're going to be cooking the whole time you're staying here. And let me tell you, it was the best feeling I ever had. It was really good. And man, I was just cooking meals, and he helped me. He taught me how to cook a little bit, but most of the dishes that I made by myself. And I really learned how to cook, and because it was survival. And I was in a state of survival that says, if I don't cook, I don't eat. I was in that state of survival. Like, he was just forcing me to cook and do the dishes and all that. Like, and I was in a state of survival. And not only I was doing that, I was cooking my own meals. I was attending class. I was doing homework assignments. And sometimes homework assignments would have me staying up late. And, I was just doing my thing. And I was in survival mode. And I think that is one of the most driving points in my life, because it showed me what my true strengths were. It showed me what I can do in a dire need situation. I barely knew how to cook things. I barely cooked with my mom. But when I was with my dad, oh man, I became a chef. So survival is really gonna teach you those skill sets, and it's gonna be even worse than what I experienced. Like, When you're in survival mode, you're gonna do anything to survive. If you don't even know where your next meal is gonna come from, you'll do anything to survive. I mean, anything, And I think this guy I was talking about named Brute D. Force, he was talking about a story where his mom had kicked him out of his house, of her house rather, of the family house where he grew up at, because he wouldn't comply with her rules. Like, he wouldn't go to school or like go to college or get a job. So what she did was she packed his bags and she left him at the front door, and he said, "You better be out of here by tomorrow," or whatever. And he left like early in the morning. I think it was like 1 a.m. It was probably dangerous. I don't recommend you guys do it. But he left 1 a.m. in the morning, and he was just lost. And his first day out, he had no food. Like, I mean, he had to sleep in the park. He had to do what he had to do to survive. He had to call his friends to stay over. He had to go places, and he really was in survival mode. And I'm just here to tell you guys that sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes life has to get that difficult in order for you to really thrive, in order for you to become the best version of yourself, to reach your fullest potential. And I think a lot of people nowadays are not reaching their fullest potential. A lot of people, I think, are too comfortable. A lot of people do the norm and they never experience true uncomfortability. And I think you need to really push yourself, especially if you want to be great, especially if you want to pull off an endeavor, like you want to be a trader or you want to be a big time investor or whatnot. And you just gotta do what you gotta do in order to survive. You know, you just gotta really. I'm gonna tell y'all, like, you gotta do the things you don't want to do, and you know you gotta really survive out here, because life can get very tough, and it's not pretty. And there, as you guys have probably seen, a lot of homeless people have been on the streets, like in LA. When I was in LA, y'all, like, this was around, I believe it was like the beginning of August of this year, 2023. I was in LA and I saw like homeless people just sitting out on the sidewalk. I saw like two guys begging for change, and like it was a very disturbing like sight to see. Like, I just don't like homelessness, and LA is where you just saw it all. You just saw people on the street when you're trying to get into museums and certain buildings, and you just see these guys, man. Like, you just see them just begging and just bothering people, and the guy would just be like, I remember one guy I was looking at, and he was acting like he was high, and he was probably high on drugs, and it was just a sad sight to see. It was very disturbing, and I just, I said to myself, I don't ever want to end up like that, you know like, I don't ever want to end up in a position where I'm on drugs, and you know I just never want to be in that. And some people never get out. It's like, I feel like homelessness and people out on the street are like in this black hole where they feel like there's no hope. Like, they're in this like sand hole where it's hard to get out. And I'm like, man, I feel so bad for them. And but then again, you know, people sometimes put themselves in those situations. So I kind of have mixed feelings about it. But I'm just here to tell y'all that, you know, hard life can get hard, man. I mean, there are going to be times where you feel like you're in a black hole. You know, I felt it several times. I felt it where like you're just wondering how the freak am I going to get out of this? Like you look around where you're at and you know, you feel like there's no hope sometimes and you're just wondering, you're just thinking, man, how am I going to get out of this? You know? And I definitely felt that several times. I think I still feel it, but I'm just here to tell y'all that life is supposed to be difficult, you know, and not to say that everything is supposed to be, because, you know, you got some easy parts in life, you know, you really do have some pretty simple concepts in life, like what's healthy, what's not healthy for you, and, you know, but you also got to know that life can also be very difficult. And sometimes that difficulty is very beneficial and can be used as a catalyst for success. So that's basically what I wanted to talk about today. If you guys have any if you guys have any like thoughts, or if you guys have anything to share, then leave it down in the comments, or you can also DM me on Instagram about it. And if you guys are new to my channel, please subscribe. Also, hit that notification bell if you guys want more of my upcoming videos, y'all. And I hope everybody has a great day. It's Mark the Greatest. Peace.